Somos agua, somos tierra, somos fuego, somos viento. Este es nuestro rezo, sí. Aquí, Chicano, Mexica Connection. Rocco Pachucote en la Cali. Desde los barrios de Tenochtitlán, México, Los Ángeles, Califas, Flan, Kiba, Meteo.
Se estudiaron movimientos de los 4 elementos. Se tomaron los momentos para crear estos centros. Que los tiempos ni los vientos poderán con estos templos. Que no vengan con inventos, falsedades y con cuentos. Somos descendientes de una gente inteligente, utilizando siempre mente sabia como serpientes sabia. Toda la gente que no hay nada diferente, lo que ve, lo que se siente, espíritu presente. Fue invocado, llamado del otro lado, porque todo antepasado lo dejó aquí bien grabado. Que no fuera olvidado y que fuera estudiado, así todo lo creado sea elevado. Somos gente de ciencia honrando creación. Ciencia y religión siempre tuvo conexión. Y México, el ombligo con la luna. Como esta ciudad no hay ninguna.
Ciudad celestial, corazón del mundo. Ahí es donde nació mi pensamiento profundo. Águila nopal, la voz del jaguar. Te escribo mis letras con pluma de quetzal. Mi mensaje es antiguo, te canto medicina. Yo soy como una espina, difícil de quitar. Yo soy como una rola de maldita vecindad. Enlocando la gente, te abro tu mente. Yo soy descendiente de esta tierra mexicana. Aunque yo vengo del otro lado de Tijuana. La L, la A, Califastlán. Y los que no me crean, mi sangre es mi prueba.
Plazo Camadli, Ipalemowani, El Hu en la Calico Rocco, Tonali. From ancestors who are still with us. Guide us, unite us, uplift us through a spiral flow, mind, body and soul. Conected con elementos, luna y sol. From the future we flow, trascendiendo tiempo como los templos.
Ometeut, Omesiwa, Ometeut, Omesiwa, Ometeut, Omesiwa. Ajo, ajo. Aquí estamos, estuvimos y estaremos. Somos la semilla que plantaron los abuelos. Como pidió Cuauhtémoc, pasaron de padres a hijos el saber de los ancestros. Por los 4 rumbos propagaron este rezo. Pueblos indígenas, guardianes del tiempo. Cuenta de los días anunciaba este momento. Aquí y ahora, este es nuestro tiempo. El sol que nos alumbra, sol de movimiento. Somos agua, somos tierra, somos fuego, somos viento. Y estamos caminando en unidad y movimiento. La gente de la tierra ha llamado a la acción y por todo el mundo se ha escuchado su voz. Afila la palabra, cultiva la esperanza. Abajo y a la izquierda nuestros corazones cantan.
Who's coming in the driveway?
I know you don't like using the word forever, so right now let's enjoy the present together. I hope it never ends or concludes, just continues to move like Colleen. It seems to be love, but really is it? Whatever this is, let's just run with it, destiny unknown. Wherever, right now, let's enjoy the present together. Whatever happens with you and me is meant to be according to our energy. Right now it's feeling hella heavenly. Set me free whenever you're next to me, and I wonder if you were sent to me for a reason, season, or lifetime. Who knows? All I know is that it's the right time. Whenever I'm around you, my light shines, ignited by your bright vibes. Emotions are like the night tides, and my heart's ablaze for your very face. I hope for no end to these days, but nothing is for show, nothing is forever. So right now, let's enjoy the present together. Nothing is for show, nothing is forever. As long as I live, I will always remember. Remember
Hurrying back way before the invasion, before the 500 plus years of occupation, before our native tongue ever needed a translation, and we lost communication with the energy of creation. You big brown eyes and that beautiful stare, the way it had got the wind would caress your hair. I walked to you, offered a quetzal feather, and asked if you would like to take a walk together. I asked your name, you said it's Quetzal. Go eres mine, la pareja ideal. You put your hand in mine, our fingers intertwined, making the Olin sign, but I swear you stopped time. Connection was made. I gave you a necklace I had made from jade as we looked for the shade. We sat under a tree and talked about the things that interest you and me, like philosophy. On a no celo skin, I shared some poetry that would make us think. The black and red ink, you braided my hair as I massaged your feet. I leaned over to you and I kissed your cheek. Over Lake Xochimilco, our reflection was bright, cause Mesli the moon would provide the light.
You put your spell on me with that ancient energy. Now it affects me like the moon pulls the sea. Flower in your hair, you look like the sacred tree dancing in the wind. Your delicate voice makes my world spin. Stuck to your breast like an infant. Sometimes you're full moon, sometimes you're crescent. Sometimes I question what is your intent or our connection. But you're my reflection on the lake at night. Just a metaphor for the waves of life. I'll be the sunshine, you'll be the moonlight. Love so strong that it creates life. Delicate balance between heart and mind. This love intertwines like the ends of time.
Yo, LA Natives Podcast, Los Aslan Natives Podcast. Those are some vintage joints that we just spun off the. Man, that album was fucking ridiculous. I think that was the third album.
That was the final EP.
The final EP.
Yeah, that El Boo did. Yeah, it was only like maybe 4 to 5 songs. I think it was just a little small EP that we did. But that was one of my favorite beats to make. I thought that was the most Wu-Tang RZA-ish I could get right there. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it has that East Coast like RZA sound, and I really loved that beat. And you know, that song was a love song that we decided to do as El Boo because we talked about social issues and culture and things of that nature. But we felt we dedicated this one to the topic of love. And so if you listen to that song again, this is our perspective of what we felt love was in a revolutionary sense, you know. So I used a lot of nature comparison and attraction towards females, you know. And,
you know, talking about females, I want to shout out Courtney. She's viewing us from Chicago.
Shout out to Courtney. Yeah, I'm able to see. I got my iPad with me, so I see the chat. And shout out to 3 Pac. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your appreciation of the song. George, obviously, George. What up, George? How you been? I haven't seen you at the store. And we got Claudia. Shout out to Claudia Guerrero.
Shout out to George. He just said his LA Natives sweater.
Claudia, are you the one that I invited to Conejo? I invited somebody on. So I already have somebody for my guest.
Hey, bro. Hey, you need to stack it up. You know why, Zero? Because we just got upgraded to the disco room.
No way.
Okay. Yeah, bro.
Yeah. 21st.
You know what? A lot of people, you know, kind of questioned my decision on why we decided to host this year's Nightmare Before Christmas and in the underground room, because I just wanted it more intimate. Mm-hmm. But of course, it didn't end up that way because now we're in the bigger room.
Oh, I see.
You know?
I mean, that's cool because I like that room. And, you know, I played that room with the Mortal Technique and we did a bunch of cool shows there. We did Val 9 was there.
Yep. You're going to be on stage, I believe, 10:20. So doors open at 9. Okay. And yeah, by 10 o'clock, it's going to be fucking stacked with gang of heads, gang of LA natives are going to be in the building.
Absolutely.
And Claudia, I hope to see you there.
And, you know, I really like playing shows like this because a lot of people ask me, like, you know, really, is that the same message? And I want to go in front of people that know nothing about me and know nothing about this message because I think that's when art transcends the most. And plus, I have a lot of love for that community That community is the same as any other community. It has its own ways, it has its own rituals, and by no means am I asking that community to change in one bit. Remain who you feel like you need to be. But we're building this tribe over here in LA Natives, you know, community-based, family-based, culturally based.
And what community are you specifically talking about?
I think that, you know, like the Chicano rap scene.
Chicano rap scene, of course.
It has its own tribe, and I respect it. I respect everything they do, their beat selections, their wording. I view it as jazz. It's a like, just like my music is indigenous hip hop, right? It has its own tribe. It has its own focuses, you know, and those focuses are on family, culture, astrological references, Mother Nature. All those things are part of what we talk about.
It's not like gang related first.
Well,
Right.
Chicano rap is.
I just think Chicano rap as a whole has a huge blanket over it, which is the whole gangster mentality.
Gangster
like
rap,
you're
yeah.
from a hood, you're from a certain block that you don't own, right? Right, Zero? Like it's just so ridiculous. But like, no offense, like just like how Zero says, be who you want to be,
Yeah.
because people are products of their environment.
Well, there's also stages in people's lives where at one time you were this, and you can evolve. Not that you need to, not that I want you to. It's more along the lines of what kind of perspective you want to carry in this reality.
Zero, so many indigenous, so many heavy native oriented people that I come across, they tell me that they had a past life. Zero, they were part of a gang, or they were doing this or doing drugs, and you know the indigenous ways changed their ways for the good.
Right.
You know.
Fire. Well, look, the regrouping of Turtle Island has to be accepting of everyone and everyone's nature. Marcos from the Zapatistas movement had to navigate indigenous communities that were Christian, Catholic. They had their own ideologies, but they had the same cause, which is the oppression of the Mexican government and taking their lands and doing all those things. So they band together, and they were able to see past the differences, but work together in unison for the same cause. And the same cause for us is the awakening of all tribes across Turtle Island. That's the goal. And it doesn't mean that all tribes have to act the same, dress the same, and think the same. The only thing we have to do is recognize that we're a part of one massive tribe. And this tribe is not a violent tribe. It's an intelligent tribe, because it has math, science, spirituality, and art to be the foundation of the next movement into this next cycle.
And I want to be real. I think Conejo is on the top and will always be on the top of the Chicano rap scene. But he's more than just a Chicano rapper. I just think he's more lyrical. I think his beats are more boom bap-ish. He's an actor, right? And he's killing it right now when it comes to social media, his career. He has over 100 albums. Like, I've never met an artist that has over 100 projects, Zero.
Like, I respect Conejo because, first of all, I played with him when I was in El Bu a long, long time ago, before his road that he ended up, having now, becoming an actor and having a very successful music career. Because I respect him, because who puts out 100 albums?
That's a lot of music.
Like, fuck, 100. How many beats is that? Because 100 albums is already a lot. And then what? He's
technically 120.
See? And how many beats is that? Like, because there's 20 songs on each album. That's like almost Guinness World Record kind of thing. And he has a cool style. He was made to be very popular. And, I just give a lot of respect. I'm honored to be on I played at the Regent with him, that stage.
I think that was his biggest show. Yeah, that stage was crazy, right?
Right. That stage was amazing. One of my best friends was the last time that, we had moments together, which is Stevie Lopez. So shout out to Stevie Lopez in the spirit world. We're still continuing the work here. We're still carrying the prayer of the Temescalis that we prayed at, and we're in a good position now. I think the music's getting recognized. I think it was maybe 20 years ahead of its time, but now it seems to be relevant because I've been chopping up the music and posting it on my social media, and I've been getting very good reactions from it. And we're ready to drop a new single. I just dropped a little clip on Instagram of the new single. It's coming out.
So we got Conejo, Twisted Insane, who, as of right now, I believe he's the fastest rapper of all times, and he's dope at the same time. We got this Madre, up and coming, very influential punk rock hip hop group. We have Rifleman of the Project Blowed, very, very legendary act. And of course, we got DJ Survive, our house DJ. He's been doing our Nightmares 6 years running. We have Zero. He's going to kill it. And then we have Zapata the Ghost. And then hosted by Product Pistolas. And anyone that's watching this right now, if you guys want to pop up to the event, just mention LA Natives at the door and you got a half off the ticket. So it's going to be like $20 just to get in. What? So anyone that wants to come out, support, Zero's on stage at 10:20. Doors open at 9. Mention LA Natives at the door and $20 entrance instead of paying $50. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, I'm gonna cut this and put this on my
holiday special.
Media.
It's a holiday special.
So
guys.
mention LA Natives. See,
we're not the Kendrick Lamar show that's charging fucking $500 per ticket, guys. It's insane. I really got pissed off when I found out that this up and coming Kendrick Lamar show, dude, people are paying $300, $500 for fucking nosebleeds.
Wow,
that's crazy.
That's insane. Well, I think there's clever ways of, if you're an artist and you get to sell out in Los Angeles and say your tickets are, $50, whatever, and you sell it out quickly, they go, well, let's just raise the price.
Yep.
Right? And so it raises the price, it inflates the price to whatever it is, which is $500. But imagine adding 2 or 3 other shows.
Yep.
For lesser ticket price. I would rather do that. My job is to play shows. If I go tour in a community on Turtle Island in a region, I'm gonna work my butt off. And if I sell out a show at $20, and people still want to see me, I'm gonna do another show. It's just a way of not having to work, because they go, well, fuck it, we'll just make all this money here, and then we'll go to New York and make all this money over there. But I think the revolution in artistry has to be where we prioritize the community that supports us, because we are at that age. We are at that time where if you write a song good enough, you can live off of it. And then all you have to do is continue the art. And now you're living off your art. It was impossible to do that 20 years ago. You had to do 3 or 4 jobs just to do it. But now we've gotten to that place where if you write good music, you can be recognized and make money for it. And I'm getting these opportunities. I'm playing this show with Conejo at the Catch One on December 21st, which is the December solstice. So all of these things align to me. And really, I want to reach a community that I love dearly. And the Chicano rap scene, I love it. I respect it. I respect Conejo. I don't agree. I could say that I don't agree with the message, because I don't. But it doesn't mean that I have the right to judge it. I will never judge it. I can't judge it. It's talented. It's put together right. It has marketing. It has its own...
That's just its own form of art.
Right. So why would I diss it? Like, it's not something I want to diss. I want to join. I want to be a part of. And
well, what is mainstream hip hop as a whole? Sky, like mainstream hip hop. It's gang violence, bitches, money, drugs, hoes, ignorance, narcissism.
Yeah.
Am I right? Like, let's be real. Anyone that listens to Power 106 What of substance are you getting from listening to this garbage that's on the radio? Right, Zero?
Because we are not in the age, like, it's crazy because everything is shifting. The money is shifting, entertainment is shifting. All these things are shifting. What, right? Like, think about
thinking about Puff Daddy getting exposed, and now Jay-Z is getting exposed. Who the fuck did he get pissed off now? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He must have pissed off some white dude or Jewish dude that's gonna be like, hey dog, let's take Jay-Z out of this game too.
Well,
you know?
I mean, you got to remember that at the end of the day, Jay-Z is working for someone. He doesn't own his company. He works for Universal. These really big celebrities, they don't own anything. They can get taken out at any moment with rumors or video that they have in a vault, or, you know, getting you really drunk and making you do things that, you know, you don't usually do, but now they have this evidence on.
Well, this evidence is claiming that he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old woman, or that's a 13-year-old little girl. They raped her, and it was a threesome between her, Puff Daddy, and Jay-Z.
Wow.
And it's on camera, and she's pressing charges, and I'm not surprised.
I mean, look, let's be real. I'm not trying to cause too much controversy, but I've heard stories in the hood where I grew up where young ladies are being sexually active around that age. You know what I mean? And they're around celebrities and famous people. And let's face it, in those type of environments, in those low-income environments, you do stupid shit.
Well, yeah, it's easy to take advantage of the youth when they're at that age.
And that's what we really need to focus on, right? The fact that it's wrong. But how to manipulate somebody to, because it wasn't like they grabbed her off the street and kidnapped her and then they, you know, no, they convinced her with their popularity, with their money, with their influence, right? And then took advantage of her. This is the way I see it. I haven't read the document that is accusing this individual, but I don't want to. I think when people hear that word and then they go, oh, it was violent. Sometimes it isn't violent. Sometimes it's manipulative. And they're convincing a 13-year-old, which you can convince a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old that you're this extraordinarily important person because you're on TV and you put out a record or you did anything, right? And that 13-year-old's mesmerized, and then they take advantage. That's bad. This is the type of energy that's being released now, the exposing of this type. You can't hide it anymore. You could hide it back then because there wasn't social media phones or there wasn't all this technology to record everything. Kind of like how they caught this dude, this murderer dude.
And it's probably by accident, right? Because you can't hide from social media anymore.
You can't hide.
You can't. And I think these people are getting exposed and you know, getting burned to the fire because there's other people above them that don't want to get exposed. So they're just throwing them under the bus. Zero.
I talked about this a while back on the podcast where they had to be very careful about what technologies got into the hands of the masses, right? And we think that having a phone that could record video and remember like maybe 15 years ago, the phones weren't as clear, right? Like you had this shitty flip phone that would take a picture, but it was like pixelated and the video is all grainy and it's not very good, right? But then they advanced the phone. And just being able to take a picture and a video on a phone is a powerful tool. Because if you're getting robbed or if you're getting hurt or if you're getting abused by authorities, now you have proof that some abuse is taking place. As we advance in this technology, like the masses have a very powerful tool. This is what's disrupting things in a certain area of the world where children are being murdered by war tools, right? This is the most powerful tool, is this phone that can record video, that can be cut up in on the phone, you can edit that video. And on the phone, you can upload that video to social media sites that hit. So it's like putting it into a river and it's just like, boom, now everybody knows about it. This is spy technology. Only spy technology used to be able to do that. You needed a device that could take a picture and could take a phone. You know what I mean?
You needed a bug.
Yeah.
Some sort of a device that could do what this cell phone does, right? Imagine before this technology, if we were in an espionage or spy, or we would have to hand an envelope of information to another person so that person can attain that information. Now they invented email. And they go, well, now I can send all those documents and no one even sees me transferring it to an individual. Remember back in the old spy movies where there'd be a guy sitting down at a table and he has a briefcase and then he gets
Inspector
up.
Gadget.
Yeah, and then he gets up and then the other guy comes and sits down and he grabs the briefcase and the exchange happens. We got to remember, community, that this particular device right here is an equipment for spies. In my opinion, this is just my theory, my opinion. But these guys are so greedy that they know that we would get addicted to it and that we would start using it, but we wouldn't apply it to the things that they applied it to. You see, because they came up with better technology. This is outdated technology. Imagine what they're doing now, right? Maybe hologram, with the nanotechnology, nanochips that carry information. I don't know. I'm not really into that type of stuff. But I know they wouldn't give away this spy technology, which is ancient, compared to what they use now, right? Drones is an example, right? They could fly a drone that has a high-powered mic. They could go through the building and, different technologies. And then pretty soon you'll start seeing, hey, this is the best drone you can buy. It could, do this and do that. And they'll send it out to the masses because the masses don't have the intelligence to use that technology on their benefit. Although some people have, right? There have been very big movements that have been created on social media platforms. That's why they're being attacked. That's why TikTok is being banned, right?
Yo, what's up with that, Zero? Obviously, they don't want TikTok in the U.S. because I'm assuming because they don't have control over it.
Well, yeah, it's a Chinese company that's.
There's a few issues with it. One, they're saying that they're data mining, right? What does that mean?
Isn't Facebook and Instagram and Twitter data mining and Google and YouTube doing the same fucking shit?
They are, but they're not a different country. Those countries are domestic countries, so that information stays in the U.S. But China is a foreign country, and it's an enemy now, right? I mean, I think they haven't officially declared war, but they're in very hot waters with each other. They're not.
Well, there's a lot of data issues that are going on just between the U.S. and China. Like the FBI recently issued a warning to cell phone users not to send text messages between Androids and iPhones because apparently it's easy for Chinese hackers to steal our data. So to use encrypted platforms like WhatsApp when sending messages. So there is some tension brewing.
So what we're seeing now is the threat of nuclear war, right? They're threatening nuclear war in Europe, and now cyber attacks, and they're cyber attacking the financial system. The tactics of war are not the same as the 1940s, right? Only the people in power are acting like the people in the 1940s. This is why I wrote this part of the new single. I said, the whole world's turning into Palestine, desensitizing the mind, keeping the masses in a loop of time, while the rich elites get away with the crimes. So if they keep you in a very intense, war-driven, violent reality, they can be on the back door exploiting all the resources, monopolizing the technology, all these type of things that you're distracted with, right? You're distracted with other things like rumors and P. Diddy and all that other stuff when you guys don't realize that, they're moving everything to a digital system. And we've already talked about this on this podcast, where it's going to be a social credit score. Here's the difference, though. Here's where it connects, Armando. In TikTok, I've been using that app for a little bit. And in TikTok, you get 3 strikes, you're banned. It tells you right away. I put my new single up and they banned it. In 5 seconds, it was off of the fucking TikTok. It's crazy because I say the whole world's turning into Palestine. And I'm showing the ICE agents breaking the door into the trailer home and pulling a little kid out, and it banned it. And then it warned me very strictly. It said, you're being warned. Don't put content like this again or you will be banned. Here's another thing I noticed on that platform is that people censor themselves, myself included, because you can't say certain words on that platform. Guess what happens when you say a bad word or a word that's not likable, like the word kill? You have to say unalive, right? Or the word rape, you have to say grape.
It's like you're walking on eggshells.
Well, you're talking on the platform and then you go, oh, I want to make this point using this word, and you go, but I can't use this word, so I have to use a different word to replace that word. So then you're like, the algorithm is teaching you how to censor yourself, because all they have to do is point that into the society, and now you're in society and you're censoring yourself. Remember, so guess what happens when you do something like, say, I put up a wrong post, right? A post that offended TikTok. Guess what happens, Armando? What do you think happens?
They give you a strike, right?
They give you points. It's a point system.
It's a point system.
Take a point.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, bro. See, it's conditioning us to get into the social credit score system. Because right now, the biggest thing you could do is go on TikTok and make thousands of dollars.
TikTok, I believe, pays out the most in social media compared to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Because they're probably being honest about their payouts to influencers.
Absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not.
Well, I think they're,
it's
to keep them happy?
It's a Chinese company. It's a Chinese company.
So they're like, we're going to purposely pay out the most money compared to all these social media so we have more control. Right?
Look, stay with me on this one. It's a Chinese company that's already ruling its country with this type of system. Social credit score, minusing of points, all these things. Don't say this. Don't say that. That's a communist country. And the biggest communist country has the biggest social media platform in a foreign country, conditioning them to be into that type of system.
And of course, TikTok's number one market is the United States.
Okay. Yep. So now when they go, okay, social credit score time, we're already conditioned because that's the way it works on TikTok. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of training you to be on a social credit score kind of thing, because social media, don't say bad things about countries that we don't want you to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, it's even happening on YouTube. Remember when they were censoring us because we said certain things or certain topics on YouTube that YouTube didn't like?
Yeah.
But TikTok's that on steroids, because people, they already know, no, man, I made $1,500 on TikTok last month, and so I got to be very careful about what I say. I see it just on the platform. I don't know anybody who said that, but I see it on the platform that they do that to themselves. And to me, that just tells me that they're conditioning themselves to be in a social credit score. Okay, why am I saying this?
Okay, so it's directly tied to how China is running their system, and maybe that's because that's the reason why the U.S. don't wants nothing to do with that.
Remember, it's a global system they're trying to go under, right? Authoritarian governments, cryptocurrency, and social credit scores. Right now, social credit scores does not make sense to us because if you try to implement that in the U.S. right now, they'd fucking laugh your ass off. I'm gonna fucking jaywalk on purpose.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. They'll rebel against it really bad. So how can I condition you to use and accept this system? How do you catch a rat on a mouse trap? You put a big fucking piece of cheese on it. Yeah. And what is the biggest piece of cheese they can give a human right now?
It's money. That makes sense.
I dropped the mic.
That's crazy though to
Right?
think about because it's like it's hidden in plain sight, and like you're saying, gradually you don't even realize that it's taking away your First Amendment right.
You're doing it to yourself so that you can go, but it's okay. I don't need to say the word this, and I don't need to say the word that, and I don't really need to talk about that thing because I make $3,000 a month on this app, and I really don't even do anything. Wait till they pull the rug from it, though.
Well, I think too, what also plays a big part in it is cancel culture, right? Like within these past years, this whole canceling of things, like how you can't say rape because you're gonna offend, people who are dealing with depression or with these different diseases. Like we live in a society now where it's very easy to be canceled by saying the wrong thing or mentioning, certain ethnic groups in different types of ways. Like that also I think plays a very large role in what you're talking about right now. Like
It's a social, we got to remember that social media is socially conditioning us. Right?
And let's be real. In China, none of this nonsense that you see on TikTok in the U.S. is being shown in China.
Yeah, because they use their algorithm for different purposes. So in China, from what I've read, is that their algorithm focuses on achievements.
Oh.
Like a kid prodigy pianist will be the number one trending person. Some activist, some senator or whatever did something good, that would be a trending thing. And for
kids studying, kids studying in the classroom in rows of hundreds of kids is an achievement to them. Yeah.
Right, the spelling bee champion.
Yeah.
He's trending on. So they're conditioning their population with China being the best because look how we trend and so they're using social media to socially condition the population. But they're going, but how do we get them to get into the social credit score thing? Right? At least in the US. And this is it's so simple to see. It's like I'd never seen it. I was there when MySpace came out and it evolved into what was the second one after that? Facebook?
Was it Friendster? I was on Friendster for a while.
All those social media platforms, they evolved. Now they're in the place where now they can start taking things away and people will be really big deal. Like say, for instance, Sky had, let's say 50,000 followers on Instagram. And he says one bad thing about the situation where they're unaliving children in a certain part of the world where people don't agree with. And he posts something about that. What will happen if they go, well, Sky, you're off of Instagram?
Not just that, but that now too, like I'm saying, it affects people's livelihoods, right? So if I have some kind of job.
More like your self-esteem.
Yeah.
More like your self-esteem because you feel like, wow, I have 50,000 followers. And so their whole life gets wrapped around this feeling of having 50,000 followers that can be taken away by a third-party person for any reason. It's probably not even a person anymore. It's an algorithm just searching keywords and then finding the keywords. Well, fuck it, you're banned. Because remember, it's a company you're signing up for. It's not a legal right. You don't have rights. That's why they have you sign the agreements at the beginning that nobody reads. So to me,
you're right. Zero. No one has the right to even bitch or complain on Facebook and Twitter and social media or YouTube because, like you said, they don't even read the fine print of what you can and cannot do.
Right. Because then you go, well, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to sue them. No, they don't care. You're using their platform. And the way they see it is like, well, without us, you won't make any money. Without us, all these people won't know about you. So in a way, they kind of own you. You know what I mean? This is social media. This is social conditioning.
This is conditioning at its finest right here, dude.
Yeah. And so
look at what we're doing now. Shit.
So for me, it's like the way I'm able to see it is because I focus on my disciplines, right? The discipline of fasting and, focusing on high mineral diets and, doing enough exercise so that my blood communicates with itself. We're in that time where these are what people call superpowers, but really it's an intuition that we're developing within our human self because we're against those that hurt people for no reason. That time is over. You cannot and not have a repercussion of the masses of people going, that's wrong. No matter what campaign like what's happening in the region when they're unaliving children in the region of this earth, the person head in charge, his own country is trying him. This is falling apart on all levels. And so they're giving us spy technology, which we can communicate, gather masses together in a quick way, but we rather talk about rumors and we rather, disrespect each other. And we rather, instead of using the communication, what made the ancient cultures of the past powerful was their ability to communicate with other communities outside of the main population. This is powerful tools. It sounds simple, but when you slow things down, you can see things very vividly.
So you're saying like in Game of Thrones where like, yeah, it was very difficult to communicate from one kingdom to the other.
Yes.
But the people that were in between were the most valuable.
And the most powerful
Yep.
and the most powerful were the ones that could communicate efficiently. The ones that had the best horsemen that could ride through the hard. They could ride all night. See, in our culture, it was the runners. We didn't have horses. We had runners. And those runners were like tarumaras. Tarumaras can run 50 miles in one day. So we had efficient runners that can get from one part of like, let's say, for instance, from here to Santa Monica, they could do it in 15 minutes by using relay runners, fast relay runners, right? And there were ports and they would hand off the package and boom, you would have that message to the main square in a matter of minutes because they had these runners that could run a mile in, let's say, 3 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. It's there in the same day. The message that came from the ocean where the boats are coming in and, these strangers are coming. Boom. We knew it in like 15 minutes. It was there because of the runners. So what I'm trying to say is the ability to communicate. Now we can do it through a phone. We can do it through an email.
Within a microsecond, dude.
Yeah. You could tell a group chat. And that was the movement that happened in China. There was a movement in China that happened. It was called Be Water. It was based off of a Bruce Lee quote where he explained how water doesn't resist. It forms. So if you pour the water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you pour the water into a pot, it becomes the pot. So water cannot be restricted. It's flowing. It forms what it needs to form so it could stay in its, you know what I mean? So it could, so it doesn't spill.
Yeah.
Right? There's
It
nothing
adapts,
that
yeah.
nothing captures water. You can't restrict it, is what Bruce Lee was trying to say. So that movement came out of, you should guys research it. It's called Be Water. And it was a protest movement that happened in China. And they were using very creative ways, non-violent ways to say they didn't agree with certain things that the government was doing. But the push is to put a global governance on the globe, which is a silly idea. It seems achievable, but remember, we're talking about the globe. We're not talking about. This is the problem that I have with modern science, any of these things, because they feel like they already mapped the entire globe. And maybe they have. But I know one thing. There are still tribes in the Amazon who never seen a Spaniard. True or not true?
Yeah.
That is very true.
Okay, so then how have we mapped every single thing on the earth, and how have we mapped every single thing on this globe? If there's people in the Amazon who's never seen a Spaniard, what else haven't we seen? Because it's not like the Amazon can be, you can only go so far in the Amazon before you run out of gas with the plane, and the plane has to run, drive. So you can go deep, deep, deep in, but you got to save half of that gas to go back, because you're not going to go through the bottom, because you're not used to the animals, the insects, the temperature, the diseases, the bacterias. We have not scanned the whole globe, is what I'm trying to say. So the science really doesn't stand on any foundation.
And guys, if you guys ever run into these untapped tribal lands and tribal people, don't put out your fucking phone and film them, bro. I've seen so many of those videos. It's fucking so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right, Zero?
Well, there, a lot of people. I heard someone on.
You've seen? I don't know. Just recently I saw a video of like someone in a helicopter or like just filming, a area of tribal indigenous folks, and they're just minding their own business.
Well, white people have not gone out. Not white. Colonizers have not gone out of the phase of explorer. I just explained to you how the Amazon has not entirely been explored.
Yep.
But they feel like they have. Yet their tribes, they have never seen a Spaniard. What I mean by that is that they don't know the year 1492. They were never colonized. They went so far deep into the forest that no one found them. Or they knew how to blend into the forest that no one found them. They see you, but you don't see them. That's what happens. I saw someone talking about this on Joe Rogan, where they went into the Amazon, that nobody's been there, and that they saw these kids, and these kids took the boat to the city, and now they couldn't go back because they were, they took a boat like 100 miles down the river, and they couldn't get back to where they first started from. Now, one, that's stupid, because that's all they do is walk. They'll figure it out. They made it seem like that. But my theory is that those Amazonian tribes, kids were curious. They were curious about the city, and they came too close, and the tribe, told them not to come back, because they warned them, don't go by them.
Yep, they were compromised.
And now that's my theory. But the guy on Joe Rogan was like, no, it's the missionaries. They took them so far away from, dude, they fucking know the sun. They know the stars. They know how to get back home. Dude, they see you. You don't see them. The only reason that you do see them is because they were curious, in my opinion. And then the tribe said, no, you're not going to let them, they're not going to let them find us. You know what I mean? So they were kind of banned.
They were banned. They're outcasted.
They couldn't come back. And they didn't know how to live in the city. They only know how to live in the jungle. So I feel like if there are people that have never seen a Spaniard who live deep in the Amazon, what don't we know? Right? So that's why I don't give credit to this society or this science or these governments or these things of that nature, because they're not the know-it-all. And they're trying to go into this new... See, the Industrial Revolution has ended, and now we're in the technological revolution. And the technological revolution is just being able to categorize every goddamn thing, which is their obsession. This is why they want to have a global governance, because they feel like, well, we know everything about the globe and now we can control it. It's just not even, it's not a clear, this is the colonial mentality that's crumbling.
A digital
version.
world.
It's like an illusion, right? What's this, Mano?
It's a mockery video of like a white man going into untapped lands and he meets indigenous people and they're all like kumbaya with one another.
Oh, that looks like Papua New Guinea though. Like try to Google like Amazonian tribes, undiscovered Amazonian tribes.
Okay, this was the video that I had an issue with right here. This is the one. Did you guys catch this video?
No, I haven't seen it.
It was this one.
One of the last uncontacted tribes in the world. They are known for their hostility towards outsiders and have often attacked those who attempted to approach or land on the island. The Indian government declared the island and its surrounding waters a restricted zone, but that didn't stop an American missionary named John Allen Chow, who in 2018 attempted to make contact in order to convert them to Christianity. However, he was attacked and killed with arrows.
Oh my God.
Now
That is some ridiculous shit, Zero.
So that whole story.
Trying to convert them to Christianity, dude?
That whole story makes sense because they're still on that quest. They're still on that quest to Christianize the whole entire globe. Think about it. We used to read. I don't know, Sky. You're recently out of college, but there's curriculum that called the Holy Crusades, right? Mm-hmm. The Holy Crusades happened in what year? Like the 1700s or something like that, right? Or one of those old years, and we go, oh yeah, that's over. No, this is the same thing, except they don't need to use guns anymore. They're just going in there and they're going, but we're going to Christianize the whole world. There's no reason for them to go there. There's no reason for them to go and try to change them.
And the native people knew that, right?
Yeah, and they were like, fuck this. We see the shit that you make, and they kill. Or they unalive, whatever you want to see. I'm doing it myself. Like this is a social conditioning that I think that, you only know
this guy literally thought they needed to be saved. Right?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the most dangerous place around people who have never seen a button-up shirt, who've never seen shoes, who've never seen cameras, who've never seen a book, right? And they're going to go and try to convince them to believe in Jesus Christ. And this is a noble thing, right? Nowadays, everyone is so woke, they'll be like, why are they fucking disturbing them? Leave them alone. If they have not seen a Spaniard in over 500 years and they still live the way of our ancestry, they're valuable. And maybe one day they'll get a communication of prayer. Maybe 100 years from now, when all this shit is gone and all these colonial bastards kill themselves because they didn't know how to live with nature. This is what's happening in the world. It's not just P. Diddy's being exposed for being a pedo, is that the old world society is now being exposed, and now the masses get an opportunity to say, we don't want to live like that.
Well, how do you feel about this kid that just assassinated this CEO, dude?
Like that's an example.
Everyone thought he was a trained assassin and someone like hated this CEO, but it wasn't the case, right, Zero?
That's the example that I'm trying to say. It's kind of like we're getting to a place in society where, Sky mentioned it was a good point, where this individual, this kid, is the vigilante that we used to read about in the comic books and see in the cartoons, the Batman, right? The Joker. I mean, he's the Joker. He's a guy that plotted against a rich CEO, and he was going to fulfill this diabolic Joker scheme. It sounds like that because he wrote on the bullets. He wrote on the bullets the name of a book that exposes the insurance companies for how fraudulent they are towards the masses of the people. That's what this was about. We're getting to a place where everything's becoming extremely intricate. Like everything's a Kendrick Lamar verse where you have to figure out the double entendres on every goddamn thing, right? But sometimes it isn't anything. But there are people that are like, I'm interested to see how fast or what the result of this is. Why? But if you think about it, you mentioned a statistic to me, Armando, that was like extraordinary, that they deny 30% of every claim.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. 30%? And they're the biggest ones?
Yeah.
30% of whatever they're let's say they're in the multi-millions of people. What is 30% of maybe 50 million people?
Oh shit! Is this the picture where they caught him in the McDonald's right here?
Yeah. But I mean, it's French fries. But I mean, it's crazy. Like if you look to the media, none of that is being talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not talking about the insurance companies or any of these statistics. It's just
They're not talking about the book.
Yeah, it's just about him and how he murdered this guy and all. Like it's just that narrative that they're just throwing out there. They're not talking about, you know, how insurance is a scam.
Now, I just thought this whole story was bizarre because not only he hunted this CEO down, but he was fully prepared. He had the silencer. He had the 3D printed gun, Zero. Like,
right.
That is ridiculous. And then he put the title of the book on the bullets, which is even more of a weirder story.
That's what I mean. It's more like a Unabomber type of thing, like something like that, you know? Like it just has so many pieces to it. And I know they'll find more information as we go. That's why I'm interested on, because it was a specific target, right? It wasn't like a senator that's sending equipment to a place where people don't want that equipment to go to, right? I won't say the names because, you know, we're censoring ourselves. We're in the age of censoring ourselves. I don't want this live to go and be banned because of something I said. So we have to be very clever about how we speak and use this language. But yeah, man, like it was a very targeted thing. It wasn't like a general, right? Or somebody in that position. It was insurance. And we think, oh, insurance, that's kind of weak. But if you think about it, if you deny, let's say,
you're taking a membership money from a customer and then you deny him access to the benefits that you were apparently paying into.
And they're getting extraordinary profits. Like it's not like they're not a profitable industry.
So yeah, apparently insurance companies always delay the payouts to the doctors and then they obviously cancel or deny the coverage or the procedure that you need to take to stay alive, and then defend where these insurance companies defend their actions in court on why they couldn't pay you out.
Right.
You know,
like you're too old for this surgery, so it doesn't make sense. Like imagine 30% of the or whoever uses that insurance company that is paying into, well, if I ever get sick, if I ever get this sickness, I'm covered. And 30% of them get denied.
Right. And it's essentially like a system, right? Where even if you have insurance, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get this, you know, the best type of care. It's all based on, you know, how much money you make and what kind of job you have.
And so we all go, well, what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? I think we can do things about it. And maybe we can't change the system. That's not going to happen because it's not something that you want to change. I don't want to exist. I don't want to change a system that's been oppressing us for a long time and all of a sudden it's going to not do that. the answer to all these kind of insurance scams and thing is to be responsible about your own health. If you know herbs, plants, remedies, I mean, if you come from a Mexican culture, if you come from a Mexican community, you have an abuelita or an abuelito or somebody in your family who knows remedies. These remedies shouldn't be doubted. They should be used. And when you use them and take responsibility for...
You don't think the insurance companies are directly tied into the fast food industry?
Yeah, of course they are. I mean,
And that's like,
it's
and
a
that's the
stock
irony
market
of
thing.
it. They find this guy at a McDonald's.
Wow.
Out of all the places.
Out of
right?
all the places, he's eating a fucking hash brown, dude.
Exactly. It's
But
crazy.
now imagine that you know what foods are dangerous. You also know that if you get sick, you can cure yourself without having to take pills or prescriptions or things of that nature, right? There are things in nature that function they derive these antibiotics and pills that fix things from nature. You ever seen this movie? There's this old movie with Sean Connery. It's called Medicine Man. I think it's called Medicine Man. And it's about this fucking Indiana Jones type doctor who goes into the Amazon forest and he finds rare plants that cure cancer and all kinds of things, right? And then he takes it to the pharmaceutical company and the pharmaceutical company makes a pill out of it and it goes, look, we cured this. So you got to remember that everything they're claiming that can cure you came from Mother Earth. Mother Earth is responsible for that cure, not the synthetic version of it. They scientifically, chemically broke it down, which is alchemy, then repackaged it and said, yeah, you could find it in this plant right here, but this pill is better because we're smarter. We're in the age of being smarter now because we chemically broke it down and created a pill, and now you're going to ingest this pill. No, don't use the plant. The plant won't heal you. That's primitive.
Well, it's kind of, it's interesting you say that. It's like almost like processed food.
Yes.
Right? It's like essentially.
Which is what Armando just,
Yeah.
like fast food. Go on with your point though.
But yeah, like how you're saying, you take something in its natural state and you begin to alter it and do these different things. And it's the same way with food, right? Even like with plant-based food now, right? We see a lot of processed meats now. Like
Right.
even that being healthy in that way is being altered now, right? And what are we seeing now? 3D meats, right? Now they're being able to print artificial meats in labs, right? Being able to grow things like that. So things are...
You could print guns. Mm-hmm. You can print...
Yo, I would love to own one of those fucking printers, yo.
They're like $2,000 now. They're not that expensive anymore. They're starting to become inexpensive, you know? Before I read about this when I was in my company and I was pretty wealthy, and I remember reading an article on a tech magazine about these 3D printers that are doing amazing things. Like what they were invented for was like trying to recreate a valve, right, in a person's heart. So they take a picture of it, then they fed it through the digital printer, and it printed exactly the size, exactly the shape, everything it needed. So it was used for medical technology. But now people, like I said, these technologies get released into the masses, and the masses, once you release it into the masses, now it's in the hands of what we call creativity, collective creativity. This is what the collective dream is about, right? You gave a tool to the masses who are now collectively dreaming that oppression, white supremacy, police brutality, misusement of war, that is not the way the collective consciousness wants to live. You gave the masses the tool to do it, the phone that can instantly communicate to 20,000 people at once if it could.
Like Tripak 1995 says, you can download blueprints for those 3D printers now. You said the same thing, right, Zero?
Yeah, it's the new technology. Like, remember, they invent these things so that they could become like, imagine, okay, so let's use this 3D printer as an example as spy technology, right? I'm a spy. I need to go to another country. Let's say, for instance, a country that is very strict at the airport. I can't take a gun. I don't know anybody there, but I can ship a printer there. And it's just a printer. And so he connects that printer with his computer, and now he starts printing out his weapons. It's spy technology. But they release it to the masses. And then the masses go, hey, man, I seen this movie where this guy printed something. And boom, there it is. And they start doing shit like that. You see, collective consciousness will always be creative.
Here's an example of someone printing a car part for their car.
Right.
That is nuts.
Yeah. And it's going to be functional. It'll work. Right?
So what these printing, okay, so this is an example of them not only printing the exterior, but they could print the interior of a design or a unit that you need to use.
Right.
That is nuts. So that's how the kid created the gun.
Well, yeah, because they print this way in lines, right? So they're going this way in this motion, like in creating like a grid. And as they go in, whatever's the piece that's hollow, they just don't print on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it creates the actual thing by printing it this way. You see? And it's creating it on top from the view down. So it could do the empty holes, or it's not like printing. When we think of printing, we think of paper. Oh, it's a flat surface, and a flat surface that's going to get a picture or getting things written on, but they learn how to do it vertically. And that's what makes images, like it's vertically, it's 3D. A 3D printer, that's what it's called, right? A 3D printer. Yeah.
And the printer we were looking at is only $2,000.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Two grand. You could do whatever you fucking want. You can literally print out a car piece by piece.
Dude, ever since they mentioned that this kid created the gun that killed the CEO from a 3D printer, can you imagine how many orders have been fulfilled on that shit?
But think about it, though. 3D printers, I would imagine, are not easy to run. They're hard, probably software. Like it's not like, take a scan. You have to like.
No, I think they're pretty easy to run because I think they're like available in schools, like middle schools and high schools. Like a lot of kids use them now, like for projects and stuff like that. But I remember.
But to print out a gun would require like.
What materials you would need? What
like,
raw materials would you need to put into that 3D printer for it to even come out as a gun?
It does it in plastic, I think.
Yeah, I think
it's plastic. But what I'm trying to say is that, okay, you're gonna break a gun apart in a print, like a flat print, or how are you gonna input whatever information to print it? You know what I mean? It's not easy to do, is what I'm saying. I'm sure kids could do like an apple, or they could do like a tree, but they can't do sophisticated things like an AK-47. I'm sure you can print out an AK-47 on these digital printers, on these 3D printers. So, I mean, you can make anything because it's a computer that's going to follow the specs. And when they follow the specs, that's what designs. That's the whole thing. That's whatever they were trying to do, whether it be a gun, a knife, it'll follow the specs of whatever is inputted.
Here's a time lapse of someone building a gun.
Whoa. Trippy.
Isn't that a trip? And that's a part of a gun.
And it's life size? Or is it?
I don't think it's life size, but it's way bigger than life size. It was a blade and a gun combined.
Wow. You see? But they can create a weapon.
Here's another 3D printer at work in construction. Oh, yeah. These things are being used everywhere, right, Zero?
Yeah. Yeah, the housing thing, that's kind of crazy too. So, look. They have this type of technology. Why are there still homeless people? You can't fucking build you can print a fucking building. Before it's like the manpower it takes to make a building for homeless people. Oh God. Now you could just put a machine and fucking you could probably, how many fucking buildings can that thing print out in one day?
Yep.
Probably like fucking 10. So there should be no housing problem. I think that's the new shift that we're moving into. We're moving into the age of solving problems that were created by capitalism. Right? Capitalism created homelessness. All these problems are created by greed and a monarch system that's dying because they never should have had power to begin with. People are starting to recognize it because we have technology that can share information instantaneously, and they're going crazy trying to censor it, but it won't work unless we censor ourselves. And that's what these new social media platforms are doing. They're training us. They're not really training us. They're training our children to use these platforms. So if they get them at 5, 6 years old, by the time they're 30, they're theirs. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Here's a video of them 3D printing an entire home. That's nuts, right?
Yeah. So we're in the tech. So now that we know that, right? And let's say, for instance, we go, okay, as a community, we go, okay, there's 3D printer technology. How much does it cost to print something like? Can you look up the cost of what it costs to print out a home? It shouldn't be expensive. Because you want to know why it shouldn't be expensive? Because it doesn't require 50 men. That's what was expensive, was the manpower. I wonder how much a printed out home costs. It has to be less.
It's a tough thing because at the same time, then you get into that whole conversation like, well, is this probable down in the future because it's going to be taking people's jobs, right? Because just imagine like in the future, like machines building houses instead of,
but there
people building houses.
But there are other jobs that, like, it's cool to be like, okay, I'm going to still do that job. But like, okay, I would not be upset if they invented something so that farm workers wouldn't have to work in toxic environments due to the pesticides and the hard labor it is to pick. Now, does it mean that they don't work on the fields anymore? No, it doesn't mean that. There's other jobs to do that a machine can't do. But if a machine can do a hard part of a job, then we should use that technology. Just like homelessness is a problem in the United States. So printing out houses is a good technology to use.
It says right here, how much does a 3D printed house cost? 10 to 35,000 cost for 3D printing walls and floors only. 150 to $500,000 cost for fully furnished 3D printed houses.
So let's go. Okay, obviously,
look, a standard piece of shit house in Compton is going for $1 million right now.
Look, let me break down why that's a better deal. Still,
it is a way better deal.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm sure that 3D printed houses already come with permits.
Yep.
See, every time you do one step in a home, there's a permit, right? Permit for the electrical, permit for the foundation, permit for the build, permit for the light, permit for the this, permit for the that. With the with the 3D printed home, all of those permits have to be done because you're submitting the plans already. The plans already looked, and it's going to come out exactly how it says it on the plans. The reason they go inspect is because you say you're building a 3-bedroom home, but you ended up building a 7-bedroom home. That's why an inspector goes out there. Do you understand? People are shisty in that way.
But I think with the 3D printed, like it was saying, it's only
no. So 3Pac's asking, what are the houses printed out of? Plastic? No, they're printed out of concrete.
Concrete. Yeah. See, so it's not wood. It's not like the permits are easy. So what I'm trying to say is that if they're gonna allow us technology that we as a community could band together, right? Let's say, for instance, 20 families decided to buy a plot of land and decided to put their money into a 3D printed homes. That's a lot feasible than 4 families find a plot of land with 4 homes already built on it, with all the permits and all the electricity and all of this and all of that.
Because I think it's only the 3D printer's only doing like the structure of the house. So just like the walls, it's not gonna put in like the wires and like the electricity and all that. You're still gonna have to get permits for that and all that.
That makes sense. But a lot of the build,
but it's cutting a lot of costs.
A lot of permits are done because you've already submitted
and labor, and you're saving a lot of.
And
labor
it would be different. I think it would be different wiring inside of a home, inside of the wood. Where it's blocked off with the walls and stuff, because the wall's already printed out. I don't know how it really works, but my point is that we're using technology that's taking away the manual exploitation of migrant workers, because they're the ones that do the construction job. You think that a 5-bedroom home in California got built, with fair job equality and I've heard stories of people that worked in construction that built out a whole community and didn't get paid, right? Or were delayed the last payments, or they didn't pay them certain paychecks, or they got hurt on the job and they said they had insurance and they didn't. Do you know what I mean? All that type of stuff goes away with this technology. What I'm trying to say is that the community has to elevate to a space where we don't use the technology, that we use the technology to our advantage. And somehow, some way, trying to gather thousands of people to build out homes. If we figured out a way to build all the wall structure in like 3 days, you can wire pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not inside the wall; it's outside of the wall. It's exterior, so it should be quicker. These technologies are making these things easy, but before, in the past, only rich people were access to this technology. Only rich people can access it. And kind of right now, that's still kind of where it's at right now, because if the homes are that expensive, it's not easy. But what I'm saying, with the new technologies that have been given us, email, cell phones, websites, e-commerce, direct-to-customer relationships. In other words, if I'm an artist, I can directly talk to my audience and I could sell them T-shirts. We need to be on that level, teaching our children how to make money on that side of things so they will not be exploited. Because if not, they're just going to fall into a space where people are going to tell them what to do. And it's already going to be very difficult, because now you're in a space where you don't have to do an interview anymore to get a job. You don't have to see a supervisor. They don't have to write you up, and they can fire you instantly by turning off your app. See how we're being socially conditioned?
Yep.
These are the new job markets. There's no longer send in your resume, get dressed up, go sit down, have an interview, meet the guy, impress the guy. The guy likes you. Okay, cool. No, it's now sign up on the app. Okay, cool. You're hired on the app. Oh, you fucked up? There's a complaint about you? You're off the app. No suing. No, you didn't write me up. No, the age of the Industrial Revolution is over. We are now in the technological revolution, where there's so many people hungry and struggling financially that these are the only options for work. And everyone, I'm not excluded from that. Everything. If I want to make a livelihood, it needs to revolve around this phone and this technology. DoorDash, all those things. So it's an interesting time to live in, when we have to really put a focus on how we're using the new technology. Are we using the new technology to be chismosos, to be like all up in everybody's business and talk, smack and controversy? Because I know that podcasts that have controversy with other podcasts get a lot of views. But you never see the podcast that has information get a lot of views. You never see the podcast that's trying to motivate people to be at one with nature and at one with their community in which they live in. That will never get a lot of views. But if we were to turn that technology and create these communities that care for each other, that use their ancestral ways to heal each other, that use their ancestral medicines to guide the next 7 generations. Technology isn't bad. It's how you use the technology. And if we can point that technology for creating progressive ideas, for being creative, a creative community, then you'll start to see how quickly you can affect the very small community around you. There was something that those indigenous Amazonian tribes did to avoid everything we're living in. They were at one with nature. They understood that they needed to go deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth's forest to stay away from the corruption that was coming. We are now in a place where we can learn those ways and we can share that information through this technology. And that's what Ali Natives is doing every Wednesday, 9 p.m. So stay strong, stay wise, stay focused, stay humble,